Everybody calls the Earth a planet or globe. But have you ever thought where you got that description? I guess that description came from the so-called scientists. But can you prove it yourself? I say so-called scientists because when you dig deep inside their description of the universe, you will find a lot of holes that will tell you what they are telling you is not true. Remember, science is the only thing that verifies reality. All our senses have what is known as illusion. In fact, not a single sense that does not have illusionary perception. The worst among them is sight. You look at things, either the size or the distance or whatever the thing is, will not actually portray what they are. For example, a human being standing in front of you maybe 5 inches tall. How? Because when you look at the person, put your finger in front of you or something ruler, you know that's the height. That's perception, that you have illusionary perception. And the scientists have used that to convince you that what they are telling you is true, because you don't have access to their equipment. You do not have access the way the scientific knowledge they are trying to tell you. So whatever they tell you, you just have to accept it. But sometimes when you look at what they are telling you, it has to be nonsense. But because you think these people know, you continue to buy the stupid idea. For people to call the Earth a planet or a globe, first of all, they have to prove the Earth is a globe. And second, they have to prove that the Earth is going around the sun. So when we say the Earth is a globe, the Earth is a planet, those are the two you have to be very careful to understand. But I have found out that it does not matter how people are smart, they don't understand science. Or even if they do, they are afraid that people will call them stupid. Because it's amazing that people who claim to have IQ of 140, 150 can look at the sun and see the sun is 93 million miles away. None of them question that. Even these people have gone to colleges and did some scientific research, but when it comes to the universe, they absolutely, I don't know in fact which word I can use, abrogate that responsibility. How can somebody show you something? Your brains should work to tell you something is wrong with what they are telling you. My address will be, I'm going to address Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he's the spokesman for NASA. And NASA is the center of all the crap we hear about the universe. They have created a universe so fantastic. But when you read the Bible, you can see that it's absolutely opposite to what the Bible is saying. Anything the Bible says, Sure, these scientists have said opposite. The Bible never called the Earth a planet and never called it a globe. But all over the world, everybody talking, religious leaders. In fact, it's more likely those people that you consider ignorant to tell you the truth and believe what they believe and tell you something that may sound strange to you, but they are closer to the truth than those who said they studied it. The first thing you have to do is, everybody believes the Earth is a globe, but for the Earth to be a globe, it has to have a curvature. And this is lacking what they are saying. All you see is illusion. Now you'll say, well, if the sun is going down, that means it's going around the curve. No, not necessarily. No, it does not mean that. If I have a flashlight in front of you, I turn the flashlight away from you, you will not see light. So therefore, to say that simply because the sun appears to go down, that means the Earth is a globe. No, it does not. The way to prove the Earth is a globe is to measure the curvature of the Earth. If you cannot measure it, which I don't think should be the case, there's no way you can tell me that, having gone to school, especially in modern times, you can look at this and look at the Earth and say, I can't figure out how to prove that the Earth has a curvature. You see, I put challenges to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's hiding. He won't say anything because he knows what he has been telling human beings is complete nonsense. He can't prove it. He cannot prove the Earth has a curvature. The nearest thing he will try to tell you is, go high up, you'll see the curvature of the Earth. It's a lie. Why is it a lie? Simple. We have gone 5 miles, 6 miles up in the sky. We have flown. We don't see curvatures. What makes you think if you go high, you're going to see curvature? No, you won't see curvature. The bottom line is, the Earth has no curvature. What we have to ask ourselves are, how the structure of the Earth, so that you prove that why the sun will rise, we call it rise. Is it actually rising, or is the light that's coming from the sun, because of the distance? You see, if you create a universe in which you set up a reflector on top of that universe, and that reflector, or the light itself is moving around, you get the same effect. Putting that aside, we use geometry to prove that the Earth is flat or not flat. Now, this is the way I put it. Design an experiment to prove that the Earth is, to prove whether the Earth is flat or not flat. You put a telescope on any part of the Earth, and a solid support in place. Then you set the telescope at 90 degrees to the horizontal. I will explain to you the scientific theory behind that. I send a beam of light, either a view or a beam of light from the telescope. As I said, the telescope has to be 90 degrees to the vertical. And you push with unobstructed view in front of the telescope up to 5, 6, even 10 miles. The further the distance, the better it is. When we are able to to pinpoint an object through the telescope, we measure the elevation of that object and compare it to the telescope. If the telescope, if the point's elevation is equal to the telescope elevation, the Earth is flat. If anybody says, no, the Earth is not flat because the sun is going beyond, no, it's according to geometry, it has to be. That's the reason you can see Chicago across Lake Michigan. If you stand on the shore of Lake Michigan, across opposite Chicago,